My face is here. Hey. Focus on me. Focus on me. Focus on me. There we go. Hello internet. So I just finished filming a video about Patreon because I joined today and it's very exciting. The cool thing about Patreon is you can pledge money to illustrators and designers and creative types of whatever monthly. I am currently taking pledges between $1 and $20 a month. You can pull out whenever you want, and if you do decide to pledge, you'll get some cool little rewards and thank you things. And if you'd like to find out about that or even pledge, click here. I think that's how we do this. I've never done this before, so it's very exciting. Woo! The main thing I want to talk about are my illustrative influences, which is kind of a massive deal actually when I think about it. I understand why people do these videos in like 4 or 5 parts because there's just so many things. Like, if I actually think about it, there is 22 years worth of existence logged up in here, and basically that means 22 years worth of creative influences and ideas, and oh my god, what have I gotten myself into? This is going to be so long. Basically, from as soon as I could hold a pencil or stick my fingers in a pot of paint, I was creative. My first memories of my work being appreciated and loved was when my mum hung up a fishing net on our roof, and all my artwork hung from the roof, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world, and I was 5. Throughout school I was always really creative too. I would do extracurricular art classes, and out of the school I would go to art classes at night, such as chalk pastel drawing classes and things like that. When I was a kid I was addicted to cartoons like Kim Possible. I really loved Hercules and Atlantis. I also adored Toy Story and all that sort of stuff too. The Little Mermaid was like the first Disney movie I ever saw. I was first told about Frankie magazine by a friend when I was 14. I got more swept up in sort of indie art. To this day I still have a subscription. I just love the kinds of artists and illustrators that they feature. There's always a poster. It's a bi-monthly magazine, and if you're not based in Australia you can find it around the world, but it's probably a little bit pricey. I will leave links to all this cool stuff down below. But they introduced me to artists like Catherine Campbell and Rob Ryan and Anke Beckman. So many cool illustrators and designers. I was so captivated and swept up in it that I just became like a reclusive teenage angsty hipster thing, and I regret it now because it was just bad. But the general aesthetic of Frankie I think has really stuck. Like the nicety, cutesy, fun and creative style has really influenced me as an illustrator. I also had a huge love for bands like Fall Out Boy and Paramore, and I still have a deep love for the Amity Affliction and bands like Hounds Like Houses and things. So when I was sort of getting towards the end of my teenage years, I was still pretty like into all that, and I was really into artists like Alex Pardee and Dan Mumford, who, if you don't know, designed A Day to Remember's album cover for Homesick, which is incredible. And there was one horrible thing about these amazing illustrators who did this kind of emo design and graphic work, was that I couldn't do it, and I got so bummed out about it. I could never in my wildest dreams draw or design like Dan Mumford. He is the best kind of freak. It's so cool, and I think for a few years there I kind of fobbed off illustration because I felt guilty that I couldn't do art like him, and in retrospect that was really stupid because you shouldn't be mimicking another artist, you should be doing your own thing, and it's really cool when you work out your own thing. I think it all kind of changed for me when I dropped out of design school. I finished high school and I was really lost and I didn't know what to do, and I was like, I'm creative but I need to make a living. So I did an honours degree in interior design for 2 years and I despised it, so I dropped out and decided to go to art school instead. And in my time at art school I was introduced to so many artists and designers that it actually overwhelmed me a lot of the time. My only release from sitting in these extensively long classes and lectures that discussed Picasso and Cubism and Impressionism and Fauvism and everything at great length was to literally leave my building and walk to Reading's bookstore in Carlton, which, if you have not been and you are a Melburnian, It's like a socially cardinal sin to have not been to readings if you're from Melbourne, because it is so bloody cool. I would go there pretty much weekly between my lecture and my painting class, because I hated my painting class and my lectures were so long that I would almost fall asleep. So I had a 3 or 2 hour break usually, and I would go to readings. And I'd just wander around the bookstore, and 9 times out of 10 I would buy a book, usually a children's book. And I was introduced to some amazing illustrators, including Oliver Jeffers, who has probably become one of my biggest influences. He's just so cool, and his stories are so enlightening and insightful and fun. I never got over that. Like, I never comprehended how cool it is to illustrate. And I found it really hard in art school because everyone wanted to be a fine artist, or wanted to be a sculptor, or wanted to be in a gallery, and I just sort of hated the idea of being in a gallery because it scared me. Galleries terrify me. I like seeing stuff in galleries within reason, but I'm not the type of person who can go in and look at an abstract sculpture and be like, and understand it. The wires just get crossed and I get really confused and kind of anxious. But the idea of illustrating something and being in someone's home, in a book, or in a kitchen up on a wall, which has happened to me. I've had people say to me, I loved your illustration so much I framed it and it's in my kitchen now, and every time I cook I see it. And I was like, that's so flattering. So when you do something like that, I feel like it's a lot more personal, and I think it's a lot more connected with people. I like connecting with people. I think because I had been I'd gotten into this bi-monthly custom of taking in this magazine that had so much information and so much culture and excitement in it. I really liked the idea of becoming involved with people in a creative way like that. Like, I don't want my illustrations to be hung up in a gallery and admired by strangers in a cold, drafty room. I want people to love my work and to view it and enjoy it and share it. I've had people come up and tell me that their kids watch my videos and they think it's awesome. The first thing I ever drew without someone telling me no, that's incorrect, was when I dropped out of interior design school. I went home and I decided I'm gonna illustrate based on an image that I have here that I've taken from one of my walks, because I like to walk around my local town and I like to photograph stuff when I see something that's interesting. And there was a house that I used to walk past for basically 2.5 years, coming home from school every day, and it was a really old weatherboard house that was just sort of peeping over some lush sort of garden thing, and I always thought it was really pretty, so I decided to illustrate it. And it gained a little bit of attention. A lot of people I knew liked it and recognised it from their high school walks home, and a few people I didn't know liked it and commented on it, and it was really exciting. And then I reposted it when I was at art school, because that was sort of the moment where I was like, oh, this is why I shouldn't be in design school. And the person who lived in it ended up commenting on it too, which was crazy. The best thing you can do is make a sketchbook and just draw stuff all the time. I found it really hard to draw anything but beards, so sometimes I would just fill an entire page with lines from beard work, and then other times I would try to draw different things. Like, I attempted to do nebula, and this was before I could do outer space drawings. Now I can do really cool ones, and this is stuff that I never would have considered doing if I hadn't experimented in a sketchbook. And you know what the best part is? No one has to see your ugly butterfly and space drawings, and no one has to see your embarrassing ink work that you really, really hate. But you get to look back on it, and I look back on some of this now and I go, oh my god, like, how did I draw people all the same all the time? And if you think I'm kidding, like, I'm not. These girls all literally have the exact same ankle head, and it's just stuff that you may not even realize you want to try and do. Like, I filled up a whole page with stuff that looks like God knows what. Like, I don't know what that is. It looks like bacteria, but I tried. That's the main thing. And I'm lucky that I have such supportive friends and a supportive partner and supportive family in general who love my work. So do what you think you need to do. And if you're around people that don't support you, you should definitely not be around them. Yeah. I think that's all the advice I have. As I said before, I am on Patreon, which you can find down here with all the other information about Frankie and the artists that I've mentioned. And that's pretty much it. So thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Goodbye.